was a weird thing. I had everything set. I did the tweet, and it was like, hey, you're not recording, even though I did hit the record button. I hit the stream starting soon button. I don't know. Anyways, we are here, episode, and now that thing didn't update. Hey, man. Absolutely remember doing this, because I changed it to episode 45, like it should be.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Everything is good to go, except I also didn't update Twitch, but you know what? Who cares at this point? I am testing out some new fancy things, and I'm excited to try them out. I think I mentioned it last week, or maybe the week before, that I'd been playing around with those NDI plugins. Yeah. And I was like, I think I'm able to do like a 2 PC streaming setup so I can be on my laptop to do all the internet stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have to like have my main computer do that, and it will like automatically put the internet stuff, the stuff that's on my laptop screen, onto OBS, which is on my Mac, on a completely different computer, and I think it's working. So boom, there you go, testing it out. Right now, Melissa can't see it, but it's up.
I'll watch later.
We could go to YouTube and watch videos without her. It would be amazing. I
want to join.
Just you and me, you guys. This is episode 45 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. My name is Kyle Springer. That's Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you doing?
I'm good. It sure is me. I forgot I had a disc inside my laptop, and then suddenly...
A disc inside your laptop?
Yeah. Yes.
What is this? 1995?
What do you mean? It was TurboTax. I did my taxes last week. I had to see how much money gaming. Missouri was going to give. Yes, this is as close as I get to PC gaming. I forgot I had TurboTax still in here. No, it cost a whole $40. I forgot I still had the disc in there, and then suddenly the computer just started whirring up. Like, you didn't do this when I first turned you on. Like, 15 minutes later, you're like, hold on.
That's what she said.
What is this? I have to be loud about it. So you saw me make a face a couple minutes ago, and I'm like, what? Yeah, why is my computer making a noise?
I saw you fiddling with something. I was like,
I had to try to take the disc out as quietly as possible for the audio.
It doesn't matter. Things are happening. You might hear the dogs in the back go around. My roommates were about to go to Walmart and invited me, but I was like, hey, I have the podcast stuff going on. Here we are. I have a couple of things to talk about. Some interesting stuff. And they all kind of, at least my stuff, I haven't really looked at your stuff except the one thing about Melissa's soul being on fire because Twitter is making fun of St. Louis foods. Let's start with that. What is this?
Yes.
Because I saw you tweeting about this. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. So somebody posted a picture of bagels. Now, Are you familiar with the Panera bread?
Yes. I know what bagels are, and I know what Panera bread is.
Okay, thanks for confirming you know what a bagel is. That is from here. Not bagels as a concept. Panera bread is from here. Around here, it's just St. Louis Bread Company. We all call it Bread Co. here.
Okay.
They do offer a way of slicing bagels called bread slices, where instead of being sliced in half horizontally, it's sliced in a bunch of little slices vertically, like a loaf of bread.
Sure.
This is not the everyday bagel slice. This is what you get if maybe you're bringing a dozen bagels into the office and you got a bunch of different flavors. And here, look, now there's little chunks. You can take as much as you like. You can try all the different flavors. And it's not like, oh, somebody took the top half of a bagel and now there's a bottom half just lying around all lonesome in the box.
Yeah.
That's what bagel slices is for. And a picture of a bunch of like bread sliced bagels got out there on the internet as like a St. Louis thing we do. Even though I'm pretty sure any Panera Bread you could go to, you could ask for this and they
Does
do
that
it.
thing. Well,
Yeah.
certain fast food restaurants do certain things in different regions and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Because there's this whole thing of like chicken skins. Like,
Yes.
if you've had fried chicken, one of like my favorite parts of that is the skin on the
Yeah.
fried chicken. But there's certain places where I think like KFC, like you can just get that. Like if you're just like, hey, I want like your extra chicken skins, they'll give you all
There
of
is
the
an
like.
extra chicken skin.
Well, look, you can get just the fried skin at certain
Just
things, or
skin?
yeah, certain stuff like that.
Just skin, please.
Apparently, my video is lagging on
Oh.
my end, which I do not know how to fix that. Thank you, Sam, for the heads up on
Thanks,
that.
Sam. Sam
Um,
can back me up about this. She's another fellow St. Louisian.
yeah, yeah, the weird bagel slices, bread slices
It's
things.
not weird. It's
Okay,
very practical. It's just practical in very specific circumstances, so you don't see it often. So the picture gets out there, and everybody's like, what is St. Louis up to? And the Twitter has been filled with pictures of like, okay, I jammed a hot dog the wrong way through a hot dog bun and splashed a bunch of ketchup on it. That's St. Louis style. I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but the peanut butter and jelly on the outs is on the outside, and it's just bread to bread in the middle. That's St. Louis style. And we have our food is weird, okay? We've got strange food. We make a type of pizza here that nowhere else in the country they make pizza like this.
so Sam says I don't agree with bread sliced bagels.
They've got a purpose. It's a very
I mean,
specific purpose, but they're there for something. It's not madness.
yeah. I don't know. It feels like it's just supposed to be sustenance. Like, here's leftovers.
What, the bagels? You think it was
I
some
don't
sort of extravagant lifestyle we live where we're just like make
that's
the
not what
bagel
you're supposed to.
slices
That's not what you're
smaller.
supposed to do with a bagel, though.
What do you mean?
Like,
No, who's
that's
who's
not
the
how.
bagel lord? Who set these
Uh,
rules down?
Probably one of the like New York bakeries that make really really good bagels. They would know, and they don't do that. As far as I know, I've never heard that. So who knows?
The bagels are different. It's a Midwest style bagel. It's slightly breadier and it can hold up to that delicate little slice. And we've got a variety of delicious flavors. Cranberry walnut is a favorite of mine. Blueberry's good. French toast mapley. It's fantastic. And if you've got all the bagels and you want to try a little piece of everything, what are you going to do? Just tear a chunk off of one circular bagel slice and leave it there all lonely? This is why they offer the little bagel slices for samples.
Weird. So now, this sorry to interrupt. Now, Melissa, your camera has frozen. Skype is telling me we have a poor connection, and it looks like my camera has now maybe caught up to where it's supposed to be, and I'm not lagging behind. I have no idea, but let's see if we can get Melissa back, because I can't even hear you right now.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you now. For a second there was nothing happening, but your camera is still frozen.
I can see me, and that's what's important. I don't need the approval of others. I can have whatever bagel I want, whatever way I want.
I mean, it's stuck on you like in the middle of a word, so you're just like
ugly, gross. Kyle, please replace that picture of me with a beautiful shot of the arch.
And you're back now.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
It was like, I don't want to get replaced.
I'm glad it's cooperating.
Yeah.
Okay, so St. Louis pizza. We have a thin and crispy crust here.
Okay.
some people have, like, outsiders will describe it as eating pizza that's like on a cracker, but this is not true. It's not brittle, it's not crunchy. It is light, a little flaky, and crispy. I struggle today trying to think of something to compare it to. Because if
Hmm.
you get like the thin crust pizza at like a Pizza Hut or something, no, completely different. This is fantastic, artfully made, crispy thin crust. It's exactly what that kind of pizza is supposed to be. And we have a special local cheese called Provel cheese. It's like provolone, but it's richer,
Do you
creamier,
guys
a
have
little saltier.
Amateurvel cheese? I mean, if there's a
Pros
pro
only,
level,
Kyle. You're going to get out of here. You're going to
if
get
there's a
out of here.
pro
We're in
level, there has to
executive
be an
champion
amateur
city.
level.
Nope, we're gold stars only around here. It's
Interesting.
good. They're good together. You've got this rich cheese, and people are like, no, it's like eating melted plastic on a cracker. And I'm like, yeah, if you leave it out for a long time, don't take the old, cold pizza and say, that's what it's like all the time. No, you get it hot and fresh from Cecil Whitaker's. All their beautiful toppings, like the full bacon strips on there,
Hmm.
the nice, healthy chunks of a green pepper. It's colorful, it's beautiful, it's delicious. I believe I've told you about toasted ravioli before.
I don't know. I don't think so.
This is okay, you're familiar with a ravioli to begin with.
Yes, I know what ravioli is.
Okay. You take that, you bread it, you deep fry it so that then it's crispy on the outside, like the outside of a mozzarella stick kind of. Picture a mozzarella stick, but it's a ravioli and it's got like the meat in the middle. Or whatever you want, you
Gotcha.
could have a cheese one. Yes, we know we fry them, but we call them toasted. Please let us have some dignity. Let us keep this for ourselves. They're toasted raviolis. They're T-Ravs. We live and die by the T-Rav around here.
I don't feel like where I'm from has any kind of
What
signature
does
food.
Virginia eat? Are do
Food?
you guys I'm sorry. I'm going to sound like a real dumbo. Do you guys touch the Atlantic? Are you
Yes, we're on
seaside?
the coast. Yeah.
So you probably have seafood. Which we get
Uh,
less of because we just touched the Mississippi and
in
I don't
Virginia
know,
Beach,
to get
yeah,
out of
and then once you get closer to DC, you got the Chesapeake Bay. It's mainly up in like Baltimore is where you'll get the good
okay.
seafood, but that's in Maryland. But
Mm-hmm.
like Virginia, DC, Maryland is all right up there. So
So
there you
you
go. But yeah,
you guys
we don't really
probably
have like weird food stuff that the internet can complain about.
we do. We're in the crossroads of America. We're a great melting pot of people. I I like to think of us as the gooey city. I don't believe a single other person does this, but this is my nickname for where I live. St. Louis, keep it gooey. Another one of our specialties is the gooey butter cake.
The gooey butter cake.
Yes,
What
I
is
have.
this?
This is a cake that the top layer of it is it's gooey. It's gooey, it's buttery, it's a little bit like okay, the criticism people have are like is like, well, it's like you just made the standard yellow butter cake and you didn't cook part of it. Like, no, it's not battery. It's buttery. There's cream cheese in there. It's rich. It's gooey. It's
So it's
gooey.
instead of like a normal cream cheese icing, it's like a more buttery, eggy version.
Yes.
Interesting.
This is difficult to describe, but Kyle, I promise you,
Yeah.
should you come to our fair city, I got places to take you. There's the gooey butter cake, the pizza, the tea wraps. Fitz's soda's fantastic. Nobody's
Soda.
brought. We've got this local soda bottle works that makes incredible sodas. Root beer, cream soda, orange, cardinal cream soda, because, we got to put the sports and everything, all the sodas, and they're delicious. And you go to the restaurant and you can get smiley fries even if you're an adult. It's what I get every time I'm there. One giant,
I
giant float and smiley fries, please, for me, the adult.
I don't feel like I've had smiley fries since I was like 3 years old.
They've got them here. You can order
I'm
them at any age.
I'm sure you can still get them in the store, but like we have the normal ones, we have the crinkle cut ones. You can get the waffle ones. I'm sure you can get the curly ones. But that's pretty much it for like French fry styles.
Look
I guess
around.
the one we're missing is the smiley face ones.
See? We're a city that's happy to be us.
Unless it's like the upside down emoji, just like, well, I guess we're here.
It can also be that, yes. That's one of my favorite ones. I feel like that a lot.
There you go. So you also went to some kind of the Max Fun meetup. You mentioned this to me,
Yes.
I think last week or the week before. I don't remember. But this is like it's not exactly a con. Is it a con?
No. Okay. Maximum Fun is a podcast network.
Right.
This is the network that has My Brother and Me, The Adventure Zone, Judge John Hodgman, Jordan Jesse Go, like tons and tons of really great shows on there. I listen to a lot of them, and they every
What's the one that we did for the review show?
Oh,
Didn't we do one?
Bubble. We did an episode about
Bubble.
Bubble, which
Yeah.
is their like scripted audio comedy show. Yeah.
Yes.
So every spring, Maximum Fun has a big pledge drive, like those old PBS pledge drives. And they just ask people
Viewers
to
like you.
Yes, listeners like you. You donate at all these different levels, you get cool perks. I haven't done it this year, but in previous years I've donated and I've got like cool enamel pens, a really neat stationery set. Their logo shaped like a rocket ship, so I got a pen shaped like a rocket ship. It's
That's what
neat.
we need. Our logo's like a rocket ship. You should steal all of their pens.
I've got
and
the
then
one pen
with another pen, cross out their name and write our name. And then resell them. Pens for sale. Get your pens here.
And every spring, as part of this pledge drive, they encourage local communities to have Max Fun meetups, like any place where the co-hosts themselves actually live, the various, staff and stars of the podcasts. They will organize a local meetup at like a bar or restaurant or some sort of local venue, and everybody just comes and hangs out and talks about podcasts. And it's a really great community thing. I went to one in St. Louis 2 years ago that was super fun. I met a bunch of people from there. And it's just a local Facebook group full of people who love this podcast network.
Yeah.
And there's little local meetups. This is how I met my roommate.
Okay.
She listens to the same podcast. And she's like, hey, guys, who wants to come hang out at this board game bar? And we all hung out at the board game bar. She's like, I like you. And, then a couple months later, we're like, let's move in together. And then we had other Max Fun people like, come help us move couches and stuff. It's great. So I went to the meetup this week for the Max Fun Drive, and it was at some local bar called Narwhals, which makes frozen cocktails. Like they're just alcoholic slushies.
I don't care what they make. Their name is Narwhals, and it's great.
It was great. It's just 10 of us sitting out in the back patio drinking like big alcoholic slushies and playing trivia. And it was a grand old time, and we're going to hang out more.
Sweet. Sounds good. I think I know Kind of Funny does a lot of like community meetups and stuff like that.
That's fun.
And they I mean, like the community can meet up whenever they want to, but they since they often like travel and go do other stuff, they'll often be like, hey, we're gonna be in Kansas City, Missouri, why don't we do one in Kansas City, Missouri?
Yes.
And then they'll be like, we'll be here on this date, let's go to this bar and all that stuff, which is I think where they're at like right now, because isn't I think
Planet Comic-Con.
Yeah, they're gonna be doing a bunch of panels.
Oh, that's cool.
At that. Yeah,
I went to that con last year, and it's a really good one.
Yeah, I think Greg Miller is going to be interviewing a bunch of like actors that have played Superman, because he's a big Superman fan. So he's talking to like Dean Cain and some characters from Smallville and stuff like that.
Mm.
So there you go. Um, and yeah, but they like I've not gotten a chance to go to like a community meetup thing. I've seen some people in a similar like on the like East Coast, like oh they're up in Maryland or stuff like that, or you know, so it's like okay you're like 3 hours away. I'm not gonna go up there, but okay. But they do a lot of stuff like that. So you went to this one, this Max Fun one. What all did you do? You mentioned the alcoholic slushies and trivia.
Yeah,
how did that go?
trivia was fun. There was they've got TVs around the bar, but they're not for sports. They were for trivia. They may be for sports at other nights, but this was
Sure.
an all trivia night. And he's showing a lot of images as part of the trivia game. And there was a category on 90s cartoon villains. He's just showing all these pictures, and you're supposed to name like the character and what show they're from.
Yes.
And
That would
when
be
he puts,
amazing.
we did really well. I named the villain from Wacko's Wish, the Animaniacs movie. There was an Animaniacs movie that was like out of continuity. It's set in like a medieval fantasy land. It's the villain from that, a movie I have not seen since I was like 14 years old. And I'm like, oh, that's Wacko's Wish. I know that guy. And they're like, how do you know that guy?
Like, to me, Animaniacs is one of those cartoons that was just kind of always like I don't ever remember a specific episode about that show. I remember like specific moments or like gags. Like, of course, we all remember the "Hello, Nurse," and then there's them like learning the states, and they have that whole song.
Yes,
and it's like that's what I remember, and that's it.
In high school, I was taking like a basic computer graphics course. And the week before spring break, the teacher, he was
says it was a Christmas movie. They aired the
oh
Wacko's
yes,
Wish
it was
on Cartoon Network every Christmas, every fucking Christmas.
I think even the screenshot of this guy had a little Cartoon Network logo in the corner. But nice. I had this really chill teacher in high school, and the week before spring break, he said, "Okay, I'm going to issue you a special challenge. Over spring break, when you come back, the first Monday after spring break, I'm going to give you all spring break to do this. Mm-hmm. If anybody can memorize the Nations of the World song from Animaniacs and recite it for me the day after we come back from spring break, you can just have an entire week of free time. I'm not going to make you do anything."
That's great.
So I did it. And I still know most of that song 10 years later.
That's weird. So I'm looking up I'm pulling up the trailer to Wacko's Wish while we talk. I have the sound off, but yeah, it's like Christmas time. I see Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah, they're all in there. Mindy, Buttons, the Good Feathers.
I don't even know who the Good Feathers are.
The Good Feathers are those 3 pigeons.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I will go away from that because I don't want to get claimed on stuff. But yeah, I don't remember that one.
I do. We were talking about like cartoons we watched when we were a kid, and I'm like, yeah, that's all I did. So I saw all of them.
The collective reaction to when Mojo
yeah, you put up a picture of Mojo Jojo, and I swear everyone in this bar was like, oh. And they didn't do this for a single other one of these villains, and some of them are like pretty well-known villains, and they're not all.
Who else was on there?
Mandark.
Okay.
I am
Mandark.
But he pulled out the Mandark laugh, which I have not thought about in years, and it made my soul feel so light and pure.
What about him? Did they do him? They had to have done him.
Well, they did Mojo Jojo. You can only fit in one from a show. Roger Klotz,
Boo.
Angelica, the principal from Daria.
Boo girls.
Cartoons.
Him was amazing.
What an icon!
I know, right? Him was the best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would last in any of that stuff.
Do you do trivia?
No.
Have you done trivia?
I I I'm not like a trivia kind of person. That's not what my
Oh.
brain latches on to.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain things that I just have like a fairly decent memory on, or
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about comics for a long time, especially like post-crisis era comics from the late 80s early 90s. It's just like it's stupid but it's not even like trivia stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, who was the guy that wrote this in 1992 for blah blah. I was like, I don't know, but I can like sit there and explain storylines and stuff like that.
That's
So
important. This will come in handy at some point. Trivia out there has gotten so specific.
oh
You
yeah,
could run into a question, an entire round of
I
questions that's all about post-crisis DC Comics.
I don't know if I mentioned it on an episode that you were on. It may have been one of the ones that Eric was on. Um, it was a long time ago, but in Amazing Spider-Man, not too long ago, it was issue 6.
I think you
Believe
did tell me about
Spider-Man
this.
goes to a trivia night, or Peter Parker goes to a trivia night, but he goes with his roommate, who also happens to be a villain. So, but he goes with his roommate in as like his roommate is the villain. So they go to this bar that all of the bad guys hang out as, and he's just like, "This is my roommate, Peter Parker." Blah blah blah. And they all don't know who he is. And he's all just like, "Oh my god, that's this guy, that's this guy, I'm surrounded by all of these. What if this goes bad?" And they start doing a trivia night, and it happens to be Spider-Man themed. And so he knows them all, and he's just like, "I got this."
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. It was great. So I have a weird question for you.
Yes.
I always try to kind of update my parents on
Good.
like the latest technology,
Yes.
and be like, guys, you don't need a VCR anymore. No one, they don't even make them anymore. you know, I convinced my parents to get rid of cable. They had that for a long time, and instead I convinced them to get Sling TV, because my dad still wanted some news and some sport stuff. So I was like, all right, let me find you a cheaper option, because they have stuff like that out there. And I got them in Alexa for Christmas, and they have that thing now. They're loving it. Even though I don't know if I mentioned it on here, but I spent like an hour and a half trying to help them reinstall one of their Wi-Fi light bulbs because I got them the Echo Dot and a Wi-Fi light bulb, so they could be like, hey, make the lights purple, make the lights that and somewhere along the line they screwed it up, and like it stopped working, and it had to be a thing that you had to reinstall. So I was like, all right, here's what you need to do. You need to follow all these instructions, and it just didn't work, and they just were not good at following the instructions and stuff like that. But
she's dead.
Well, for now, until I can go in there and reinstall it again. So next Christmas.
A whole year in limbo. Poor Alexa.
They still, like, my parents are super into the like music trivia from like, name this band from the 70s, and it'll do a song snippet and you have to guess it. But one of the things that I've been thinking of telling them to kind of get into is YouTube. Of
Yes.
just like, hey, this is another example of how people are consuming like content and TV shows and and on all sorts of stuff. And I watch a number of podcasts
Mhm.
on YouTube. I'm not a big YouTuber. I kind of came late to the game, um, but I'm toying around with the idea of if I made my parents get a YouTube account, which they already have one because they have a Gmail
Yeah.
account. Like, who would I subscribe them to be like, you guys would like this stuff? Here's a good mix of everything, and you guys can find some like cool science stuff or some like tech
Yeah.
reviews or some cooking tutorials or some like
Yes.
sports something, like who would all of those channels be? And I think it was last week or the week before we kind of mentioned, I think I asked who your favorite YouTubers were, and I feel like we didn't get too far down the
They're not
thing.
all good for parents.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
like not safe for work, but just like my parents are not going to get brutal moose eating a bunch of pot pies with a blindfold on. They're not
exactly
going to get it.
like
It's not inappropriate. It's just too weird.
I just so I'm trying to like I'm now seeing this as a challenge of like
It's fun. I'm excited too.
who can I have them subscribe to? So I'm not super familiar with many YouTubers out there. This would be more for my mom than my
Mhm.
dad, but I know if I put if I can find enough stuff that my dad will like, then I'm sure when my mom has something on, he'll sit there and watch it. Um, One of the ones I think my mom would really like is the slow mo guys. Um,
Yeah, they're fun.
and I'm a big Rooster Teeth fan. I
Mhm.
listen to the Rooster Teeth podcast, so I see Gavin all the time. But I tried to show my parents the Rooster Teeth podcast, and it's one of those things that they don't get. But so what exactly is a podcast? I thought podcast was audio. Is this what is they why are they cussing? That like that's allowed
Who
on
told them
TV?
they
It's like,
were
no,
allowed to
it's
cuss?
not on TV. It's like this is YouTube. It's like people can upload their own videos and stuff. But yeah, but don't they do like tutorials on YouTube? Isn't that what they're like, cat videos? Like, isn't that, it's like, well, yeah, that's on there, but you can also do like, so like it just hasn't registered for them like the entirety of what it can be.
That tutorials is mostly what my dad uses YouTube for. I
Sure.
don't think my mom has ever touched the thing on her own.
The one
But my dad, hmm?
the one thing my dad has ever used YouTube for was he so when TVs made the switch from like the
Mhm.
antenna to the digital signal, like all like Best Buy, Target, Walmart, all that stuff, you could then buy adapters or like the digital
Mhm.
antennas. And he knew that it was a thing. Like, hey, you're somehow you're supposed to be able to get your local channels.
Yeah.
So he YouTubed it, and he
Oh.
found some like DIY home, like how to build a homemade antenna for the thing. He was like, oh, just get some wire and strip it down and do this and stick it in the back of your TV like this, and it's just this really shady like hodgepodge. Like,
Oof.
why is this loose wire just sticking in there and out of this thing? But it
No.
works, and it works perfectly. and and I'm like, Dad, you can get one for like $10, and it's an official one, and you can just like stick it in, and it looks nice. He's like, yeah, but this is free. It's like, yeah,
No,
but it's like
Dad,
this
Dad,
ugly
one
ass
time you bought
wire.
200 knives. You can spend the
Yes.
$10 to buy one professional digital adapter.
But like stuff like that baffles me. Of like, why was my dad so adamant about this? Like, why was this the one thing of like, I'm going to YouTube this? Um,
My
but
dad,
but
hmm?
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, my dad knows YouTube is the place to learn how to do things. So he's a big woodworker and he's looking up all these different tutorials on different techniques and how to use the equipment. And like he wanted to learn how to install LEDs on his motorcycle, and he's
Hmm.
just watching tons and tons of LED tutorials. It's that, and he looks up old clips from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Because it's great for that.
That's what YouTube is for my dad. I have a little playlist of videos I want to show them. Sometimes they will let me sit them down and show them YouTube videos. My mom's a lot more agreeable to it. And cooking stuff really is a winner. It's so entertaining. It's educational. You learn stuff. It's great for everybody. Like everybody can get into a cooking show.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend Binging with Babish. And the Bon Appetit channel does really interesting stuff. Like they have a gourmet pastry chef on there who spends her time trying to remake junk foods. Like I'm going to make a from scratch gourmet version of a Pringle. And I sat my
A
mom down and we watched one
Pringle.
of these. Yeah,
But
it's like
isn't
it's
the whole thing about Pringles that once you pop, the fun don't stop? You can't just make a single Pringle.
well, she's not making one Pringle. She's like, how many can I make just by myself
You
in the
can't
kitchen?
stop. Once you make them,
She
you just
makes
can't stop.
forever. It's like being trapped in a dark old fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
cooking stuff
So
is great.
Sam says that Sean uses YouTube almost exclusively to learn car and lawnmower repair.
Sean, there's
Car
so
stuff
much
would
more
be
out there.
perfect for that. Like all of the like DIY, how to fix your sink, how to unclog your toilet,
Mhm.
how to do all that stuff. Like that stuff is great on there.
And
What
now
is
you
this thing? Binging with
binging with
Babish.
Babish.
I'm gonna go to her or his
Yep. Uh,
channel.
that's not
Let's
his
see
name.
here.
His name is like Andrew. Babish is a some sort of a pop culture reference I don't think I get. But what he does is that he makes food from TV and movies. He just
Portal
recreates
cake.
it as closely as he can, and then he's like, "Okay, this is nonsense and it's not good. Now I'm going to take the basic concepts and show you how to really make this." And he's also got a really good basics line of this is just good cooking. This is what you do with a chicken breast. This is how you season a cast iron pan. This is how you make a great soup or bread or pie or anything. And he's so entertaining. He's got a beautiful voice. It's just calming. A lot of nights I will put on just one or two binging with Babish videos like before I go to sleep.
Interesting. So I have one of his videos up right now, and it's the cake from Portal, and I want to see this cake because I feel like this cake is a lie.
No, it's real. He's gonna do it. I watched that one and it is fun. Yeah, I'm looking at the playlist of videos like I wanted to show my parents, and it is a lot of binging with Babish. Oh, there's a really another thing I really like YouTube for that is good for showing your parents are the just general fact learning videos. Tutorial stuff's good, but this is stuff like today I found out is great. Real life lore, half is interesting.
Let's see,
The videos that
like
are
at
just
the end
like,
here.
hey, here's a thing you always wanted to know how it works, and this is how it works, or here's a weird fact from history. That stuff is great. You can watch those for hours and they're pretty short.
Huh.
And at the end of the day, you learn stuff. This is why I watch so much YouTube lately. I like that it is just a person or a very small group of people that just want to teach you something, and you can sit there and you can just learn all day without like I'm not a documentary sort of person, but I could watch like a documentary length's worth of little YouTube videos about little factoids.
Yeah. So yeah, something like that would be fantastic, especially for my mom because she likes cooking shows and stuff like that. But yeah, so I've just barely started to look in this thing. I actually wasn't subscribed to the slow mo guys,
Mhm.
but then I was like, I'm actually gonna go check out their channel and
Yeah.
see what this stuff is, and they just released one where they filmed the speed of light.
Huh!
Amazing. It
Ow.
was fantastic. But yeah, so something like that, some cooking thing. I figured maybe even like iJustine of just like here's some
Oh, just a
like
fun
here's yeah,
vlogger.
here's a
Yeah.
fun vlogger kind of tech reviews. They'll
Yeah.
you'll at least be familiar with some of the
Oh,
latest
okay.
products and stuff like that. We mentioned Good Mythical Morning
That's
recently.
fun.
They
Yeah.
might like some of that. Who knows? I don't
Okay,
know.
I know we have other topics to get to, but I've got two more channels to suggest to you. If they like tech stuff, there's a great channel called Lazy Game Reviews. And I think he did start out mostly as a game reviewer, and that he still does that sometimes. But he's a big old school PC tech head, and he will find some weird old product like a QCat scanner and just tell you about it. And this is the company that made it, and the history of it, and this is what it looks like. And he will like get it from the internet, and it's not like an unboxing, but he's like, this is the product, this is how it came packaged, look at all of
We
this
have
old
the Nick
documentation.
Click digital camera and CD-ROM.
Yeah, he does videos on
MSRP
just
in 1999 was $69.99 US dollars.
he does
Damn.
videos on just obscure weird old technology, just explaining to you what it was and how it fit into the landscape of the time of
Yeah.
technology. And he's like, I'm going to try and use it today, and I'm going to show you what it does. He's great. He's another just like guy with a real nice calming voice. He's my favorite for putting away laundry specifically.
For putting away laundry? Oh,
I don't know.
for what you I was like, he has videos about how to put away your laundry? Like, you just said he was a tech blogger. I
And he's my favorite among the many other channels I watch that tell me how
It's
to
what
put away my
you do
laundry.
while you watch. I get it. Okay, okay.
Another channel that I think could be fun for parents. Have you heard about the marble runs or the marble Olympics?
No.
This is a guy, if you just look up marble Olympics, it's one guy. His name is like Jelly's Marble Runs or something like that. He has tons and tons of marbles, and he builds these courses for them, and he just runs them down like an obstacle course, and they race, and they're marbles. He has them do all these sorts of little like marble sports, and he films them and commentates on them exactly as if they are professional sports. And I showed one of these to my dad, and it's done exactly like the Olympics were, like the last Olympics. It's the same exact aesthetics, the same style, super high quality camera. His narration is like absolutely smooth and professional sounding, and it's just marbles rushing down a track. And he's got all the marbles like into different color coded teams. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
the pinkies have got an early lead, but we will see if the orangeos can, rise up to meet them. And I showed one of these to my dad, and I'm like, there's no punchline. This isn't a joke.
This is it.
This is it. You just watch marbles race, and it's riveting. I love it.
Yeah, we're watching one of them right now. It's so weird. There's so much stuff on
No, and
YouTube.
there's
It's
so much stuff
ridiculous.
like you did dream would
Sam
be a
mentioned
channel.
Wonder Hell Gaming. I don't know what that is. I'm
That's
gonna look it
her.
up. That's what?
That's her.
Oh,
She's a Twitch stream sometimes. She does a Zelda randomizer of some kind.
yeah.
Sam is my best friend, and she tells me a lot of video game stuff, and I don't always understand it, but so I hope that was the right string of words to explain what she does.
There we go. Shout out to Sam at
Hmm.
Wonder Hell Gaming. Go subscribe. Got all of these randomizers. I see Zelda. I see Mario. 1991. There we go. Good stuff. So speaking of YouTube,
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit about this Article 13 stuff
Mhm.
that is happening. I didn't know anything about this until like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
same.
I'm guessing you didn't really know much about it until you saw the links that I posted in the thing. Maybe you
You
saw something, but
YouTube has that like community kind of post feature where it's like channels that do
yeah,
like text posts and updates and polls and things like that. And I think some channel I'm not even subscribed to, but I have watched a couple videos from. So YouTube's like, check a look at their posts. Was talking about it. I'm like, I don't have any context for this. I don't get it because it's mostly a European thing.
yeah,
And
exactly.
think I just don't follow a lot of European channels.
So this didn't really come to my attention initially. I woke up
Mm-hmm.
and saw on Twitter that this guy that I follow, who's a Twitch streamer, um, was like, well, I guess I'm out of a job. And I didn't really understood what that meant at the time. And then I think later in the day he retweeted something about Article 13, but I saw that, those words, Article 13.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently I've been listening to a number of recent episodes of the Dude Soup podcast from Funhouse. And
Okay.
uh, they
I really hope they are recording live from a jacuzzi every episode.
no, but I'm sure they would be totally up for
Oh.
that. um, but then, so I've known who Funhouse is for a long time. Never really got into their thing. They're kind of a bit of an offshoot of Rooster Teeth
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And so again, it was one of those things like I'm all right. I'm just finally gonna go check out their content. Um, and I did, and I started with a number of episodes of the Dude Soup podcast. The first one I listened to, I watched on YouTube. And I forget what the thumbnail was. Let's see here. It was something about not being able to do memes, and the thumbnail was SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I remember right now. Um, let's see if I can find out what video it is. But basically, in that video, they were talking about Article 13 and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But that episode was from a couple weeks ago. So it was before this Article 13 stuff passed, and then I had woken up that day to be like, oh, it has passed. Oh, they're talking about Article 13. I'm actually gonna
Mm-hmm.
pay attention. So from a month ago, Funhouse has a video called "There's a Meme Ban Threatening the
There,
Internet."
there is
Dude,
not.
Dude Soup podcast number 215. And so I literally listened up, and it's fascinating stuff of
Mm-hmm.
what this is. It's all, it has to do with like like new copyright law within the EU.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understood, it's basically the new law is making it so that big companies such as YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or something like that will now be responsible for any copyrighted material on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
Which the way things basically work now is they wipe their hands free. It's like, this is not on us, it is on
Yeah.
you, the user.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else, like if we have some kind of Disney Mickey Mouse thing happening on our stream and we don't
Yeah.
own the rights to it, Disney can be like, hey, take that down, and YouTube has to be like, hey, they told you to take that down, you
Mm-hmm.
should take it down. But YouTube is kind of the middleman there.
Yeah.
This new law is putting all of the liability on companies like YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So if we upload copyrighted material, a clip of a movie or something like that, it's not us who would get in trouble, it's YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of lawsuits and stuff like that. And they can work with companies and stuff like that. But smaller companies like us, I guess we're not actually a company, but it works the same for content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're usually a lot more risky because we probably didn't go to Disney and be like, "Hey, Bob Iger, you want to let us use the
Oh, I'm
all
happy
this
you
stuff?"
know the name of the
Um,
current Disney CEO.
yeah, just like, "Hey, Bobby, come on." But it's at its most extreme could be, yeah, memes would basically get banned. Like, you couldn't do that in the EU on Twitter. If you wanted to make a meme of SpongeBob, like that SpongeBob meme where he's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like that, like you couldn't do that. Twitter would have to automatically ban it before it gets posted. And so stuff like that wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so all of this stuff is like mind blowing that they would have to preemptively block it in the EU, which means like a lot of the content creators in the EU are kind of like, well, now what the fuck do we do? Because
Mm-hmm.
we can't really make this content, especially video gamers and like people who make let's plays and stuff like that, because they don't own the copyright to all of that stuff. And the Let's Play community kind of blew up before a lot of the companies
Yeah.
really knew what to do with it. So they were just like, it's fine, I guess. There's no real legal precedence to be like, well, you can't. I mean, they ultimately can be like, cease and desist. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
do this. We own the copyright, but the internet is still kind of the wild west, and we're
Yeah.
just starting to get into the thing of like, well, we need to rein everything in and do that, and it's weird. What are your thoughts now that you've looked at this some?
Uh, it makes sense in theory as like a big long-term picture. Like it'll be a company dealing with another company. It's not like one user who uploaded a movie review having to fight against Sony Pictures or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But everything will have to be very carefully screened, and there just are not systems in place to handle that efficiently. Like now,
Yeah.
some channels have to have their videos just like screened by YouTube before it's let out there.
Mm-hmm.
Not like, I don't know if it's like now you can't let it out, or we're going to determine if the rating you put on the video yourself is really true and appropriate. We're sort of here to double check what you're doing. The systems that are in place now for that to happen, that could take 8 hours or 12 or 24. But when it's happening to so many more people, and the checks have to be so much more careful because there is way more money at stake. And, who knows how
Yeah.
often this will be enforced, but the fines could be quite larger than if you want to upload a video. It's like, well, we have a lot of videos we have to check very carefully. So instead of being a 12-hour turnaround, it's going to be a 36-hour turnaround.
Yeah. So to be a little bit more specific, according to BBC.com, let's see, Chris Fox writes that Article 13 is part of the new EU copyright directive that covers how online content sharing services should deal with copyright protected content such as television programs and movies.
Mm-hmm.
It refers to services that primarily exist to give the public access to protected works. Let's see. Here's a blah, 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 blah. What does Article 13 say? Let's see. It is not blah, blah, blah. So Article 13 says content sharing services must license copyright protected material from the rights holders. If that is not possible and material is posted on the service, the company may be held liable unless it can demonstrate it made best efforts to get all, blah, blah, blah. It's
I
just,
work for a European client, and every bit of documentation they give us sounds like that. My entire and this is
yeah.
why and like my whole job is worrying about turnaround times, like how fast can you get that manuscript moving through the editorial process.
Hmm.
And so that was what jumped to my mind, like, oh, whoever is already part of YouTube just sort of checking videos that are being posted, your workload is going to blow up and your
Well, they
turnaround times are going to go
they
down.
already have thousands of people
Mhm.
employed to
And it's
do that.
still not really enough. Like the thing
Not
about
really.
these copyright strikes is that sometimes something will get flagged as a false positive. There's not really anything wrong with it, but like the algorithm that has to check all of these things before a human being could ever get to it just misidentifies something and like turns off all of your monetization for your videos.
We've actually had that happen once on the
Mhm.
channel, and it was because Paul was singing the Lion King song. The
What?
Na
He can
Sueña, and
recognize
and he
Paul?
he was like, Paul, I love you to death if you're listening to
Hi,
this, but
Paul.
you're not a good singer. Well, at least in that moment, you were not singing well. But it was well enough that whatever their algorithm is, or whatever YouTube person behind the scenes happened to be listening to our stuff, caught it and flagged it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they didn't do anything, and we're not monetized anyway. But still,
Mhm.
it was just like, really, like,
Yeah,
come on,
this
guys.
happened recently with a music channel I follow that posts indie music,
Hmm.
and it's all music they have like they've found indie artists and they have dealt with them and they've gotten the rights to compile their music into a video. Like, okay, here's more of the best new indie music you're gonna get this month or something like that. I put those videos on a lot because they're just like good chill stuff to have in the background while I'm working or reading or whatever. It's not the sort of thing you actively watch. Like I had no idea like who was behind it or who made it.
Yeah.
But I was subscribed to it, so I got these posts in my YouTube feed and they're saying we got our monetization turned off. We got stricken with something. We are all completely above board and this is such a time consuming thing and it ends up getting us so many views. We are able to make this our living, but if we don't have the monetization, there goes our
Right.
living. They're like, we're trying to contact YouTube, trying to figure out like exactly what happened because the notice we got wasn't specific, and we just need to find a person. And it got all turned around in like 5 days or so. But that's 5 days where somebody is very worried about their livelihood, and
Yeah.
like that's happening already. And if everything is to be checked that much more carefully, like they're not going to upload anything, or if they do try to upload it, it's going to be a fight to get a real person to sit down and dig through just all of this volume like, okay, all right, the computer looked at it wrong, I'm sorry, it's fine, there you go.
Well, it's not only that, but there, like, it would also call for YouTube to block that content for
Yeah.
the people in the UK,
Yeah,
or
so
in
like I could
the
watch one of these
EU.
videos, but my
Yeah,
friend in England couldn't.
yeah. So like a lot of streamers or content creators outside of the EU would now lose their audience in the EU if they're doing let's play streams or stuff like that. So it's wild stuff. The other thing that I'm gonna say, there's also something in here again from BBC.com. Let's see, this one is by Zoe Kinnaman, I believe. And Zoe's talking about Article 11, which is another one of these copyright reform stuff. And it says, taken several revisions, blah, 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 is now up to member states, blah, blah, blah. The two clauses causing the most controversy are known as Article 11 and Article 13. Article
Mhm.
11 states that search engines and news aggregate platforms should pay to use links from news websites.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, so if Google doesn't feel like paying, then all of the news websites just wouldn't show up in the search results. You know, like it just like it's like what is
Who is
this?
this
Which,
for? Who does this help?
but by the way, the episode of Dude Soup was entitled something about the meme band, but I believe since then it's come out that memes are excluded specifically because it's such a small instance of this. I don't know, but
yeah, so you
it
get
like
flagged for a movie clip, but not like just a GIF.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know, but yeah, it just it like they're the whole thing was just like, ah, that's fascinating that would even happen, or they would even think that like that would be good. Or I mean,
Yeah.
the one good thing that they're trying to do is limit these bigger corporations from like just having complete control of everything that we see, and you know all of that stuff. They want to put the control back into the hands of the creators is ultimately what they're doing, or what they're trying to do. But in this case, those creators, I'm using air quotes, would most likely end up being a short list of other giant corporations like Disney or Nintendo, or you know, something like that. Of like those would be the ones that have some like have more of a potential to have a partnership with YouTube to be like, hey, it's okay to put our stuff on here or stuff like this. But then again, for like smaller content creators, like it just seems like there's so much more of a liability there, because you don't really know what this one person is going to do, or this one smaller team is going to do. Who knows? But
it's a
I think
ways
it's
off.
fascinating. Yeah.
And I think this is, like I said, I kind of get it as a big pictured theoretical thing. Oh, this sounds like this will be a disaster when put into practice, though. So hopefully, I don't know, everything gets fine-tuned in a much more agreeable, convenient way for actual human beings to work with.
Yeah. Who knows?
Oof.
Who knows what all that stuff is? Um Moving on from that, though, you've been playing a Star Wars RPG.
I played one test game of a Star Wars RPG so far. My two brothers and my nephew and I have done some one-shot RPGs with each other, and it's really fun. We're an interesting group together to play a game. Because you've got my nephew he's almost 20, which is bogglingly old.
How dare he? Because that makes me even older.
I know! He's like normally it's when my younger brother makes the game, my older brother and me and the nephew play. Sure. And we listen to a lot of live play RPG podcasts, like we get how to do it. And our nephew's just like, okay, he just rolls on in with a lot of real bonkers ideas. He's a wild card. He's so much fun. We did a test game of Star Wars Edge of the Empire is the name of this RPG system.
Okay.
Jams ran it for us. The rest of us played with just these pre-made characters. Like we had a portfolio of like 6 of them we could pick from. I was like the classic human rogue smuggler, which was fun. That's not the sort of character I usually play. So it was a neat change. And like our nephew was the Wookiee, and like there's a scene where we all run into a cantina, like we're hiding out from somebody who's looking for us, and we all have to like blend in. And my nephew's like, okay, I am going to lie down on the floor like I am a bearskin rug. A Wookiee skin rug. Like, okay. Well, the role says you do that, so I guess you do that. It was fun.
Was he like, guys, I'll lay here and they won't know that I'm not a rug, and then I'll scare them.
It was something like that. Yeah. It was a fun game. I like how Edge of the Empires plays. I think the way it organizes your stats for you is pretty
Mm-hmm.
helpful because that's the trouble with some of these RPG systems is that they can get very big and very crunchy.
Yeah,
Like it's just so much data and statistics and math and charts and like I'm not super into D&D. I know that's the big RPG and everyone's like, "Well, I want to get into playing D&D." And D. And I'm like, "It's a bunch of numbers. There's less number-based ones out there you could try
there's
if you want."
easier ones, more
Yeah.
like, hey, here's you're a beginner.
Yeah. But we are going we that was just like a pre-made test game we were
Sure.
playing. And now we're going to try doing a whole campaign. James is like, "Okay, here's some background info for you guys. Make a character." And he sends us this huge like
Of all the like
PDF.
the Star Wars races.
Yeah, he's like, "Okay, you can play anything that's humanoid. So you can't play a hut, but basically anything with like two arms, two legs, a head, basic humanoid stuff." And this PDF has got like dozens of races in it. And I've seen me all the Star Wars.
The
I,
Rhodians, the Twi'leks, the
okay.
Twi'leks.
Which one's a Rhodian? See, I don't know. I know the big ones.
So
And then,
let's start with the Twi'leks.
them
Do you
I
know those
know.
ones with the
I know
like?
those
Yeah,
ones. The
the
tentacles.
Rhodians
Well,
are
not tentacles,
more I guess amphibious. They look more like a fish, and they have the like eyes and more like a beak, not a beak mouth, but like a.
I can't picture this. Okay, these
You
are the
may
ones.
have to Google it. I'll pull one up on stream here for everyone else, but you might have to look up
These are the
one
ones
on
I
here.
know. The Wookiees, the
Mm-hmm.
Ewoks, the Twi'leks, the Hutts, um, the Gungans, and the Mon Calamari. That's a whole
Yep.
six. I can't think of others. Well, there's like a tauntaun. That's a creature. There's the sand people.
What's his name? Who's the guy that Han shot?
A Greedo.
That guy. He's a
I don't.
Rhodian, I believe.
Oh, thank you. Okay, see that helps.
We're gonna
This
look
is
up
me with
Greedo. Yeah,
This is me with all
there he
kinds of
is.
sci-fi. I don't get into the
Greedo.
detail work. And he's telling us all these different kinds of robots. Like you can be these robots and not these other robots. Like I don't know these number codes. Which one's the Alan Tudyk? Can I be the Alan Tudyk in Rogue One robot?
Yeah.
I'm so lost. So I have to do a lot of research to figure out which one of these guys I even want to be. And at the end, I might just call it a day. Like I'm just a human. I'm a galactic basic human. I'm sorry.
Or you can just pick a random one and go with that. Be like, I'm gonna do one I don't know.
Yeah, I'm whatever a Togruta is.
How's that spelt?
Tog,
Tog.
Ruta. Uh, they got a decent amount of brawn. I'm trying to read their stats. It's not giving me anything.
Wait, so this just looks like a Twi'lek or Twi'lek, however you say it. Is a
What's a Polis Mason? There's a Gank, a Gossam, a Godel, and a Gran. Any one of those could be me. This PDF
let's see
didn't come
what
with pictures.
let's see what the Wikipedia says about the Torgruda. Torgrudas were a sentient species from the planet Shili. They were characterized by their colorful skin tones,
Okay.
large montrals and head tails, and white facial pigments. Then what was I thinking of for the Twi'leks?
Oh, I'm lost. I'm real lost. I'm not bad about a Star Wars. I know a basic working amount about it. I probably know from the like your parents who
Oh,
think it's about like light swords and the evil dad
okay.
down to like very, very nerdy people. I'm probably like right in the middle. I know like a median amount of things about Star Wars. And I'm just lost. Now that I have to like really invest myself in the world and not just like watch a pretty movie, like
You could
oh,
be a
it's so
Mandalorian.
I could be one of them.
That
I
would be
get like a
fun.
cool helmet, spray paint things.
Okay, so what I was doing, I was confusing the Twi'leks with
Yes.
the fuck, what were the ones you said? The toward
Togren?
the yeah, those ones. The Togrutas.
Togrutas.
Cause fuck. My mind is just blanking out right now.
Yeah,
What's her
it's
name
too
from the Clone Wars?
Ahsoka.
Yeah, she's a Torgruta or a Togruta.
Okay.
I'm looking at her on this thing. There she is.
Doesn't help me. I'm still not helped. I've got my big kids book about Star Wars I'm going to have to pull out and like figure out what all these are. It is like the kids learning book. Like those books you get from the library when you're like 10 years old and it's like
Yeah,
everything you need to know about
like Star
castles.
Wars. Yeah.
It's a bisection of a castle. Look at all the different parts of a castle and medieval knights and living in that time. It's that style of a book. It's that publisher, but it's Star Wars.
Right. I
Like
think I
I
used to
need to
have one,
I need to start at this level.
but it was
I can't go
before.
higher.
I think it was before all of the prequels came out. It was just like here's
Too old.
everything you need to know about Star Wars.
Mine is
Or Star Wars
from
ships. It must have been something like
God.
that.
Oh, they're am I gonna have to learn boy things like what spaceships are called?
And
I
yes,
can't
Ahsoka
hand.
is baby, as
She is. She's
as
very
Sam
sweet.
says.
I can't keep spaceship details straight. I've never been able to. Never. I know the names of them, like that's Serenity. She's a Firefly class ship. You ask me to put a number or a letter code in there or like what it does, like its
I mean,
statistics,
you know
I
the
don't
difference
know.
between an X-wing and okay, I mean, you might not know like what the like
X.
an A-wing and a Y-wing look like.
They look like the letters, presumably.
Pretty much. The A-wings are more of they're the bombers. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Luke drives an X-wing.
Yep. The A-wings and the Y-wings and all of that stuff like weren't like heavily featured main ships. They were like you saw them from time to time in the movies. And I remember in like Star Wars Rogue Squadron, you got to like play at, in them and stuff like that. But I think the A-wings were the bombers. If I remember correctly. A-wing interceptor, Wikipedia. Was a wedge-shaped starfighter manufactured by blah blah blah, which took design inspiration from Republic starfighters of the Clone Wars, based on the original R-22 prototype. Blah blah blah. I guess it's a starfighter, an interceptor. Who would have known? Who would have thunk?
These don't mean anything to me. It's like when I go
The
to my
Y
parents'
wings were
house and my
bombers.
dad is
Oh,
watching
shit.
all of his like Motorhead like in the garage shows where like we're gonna refinish a classic car. Like he watches so many of those things.
Yeah.
I'm like this it's going in. I know what a wheel is. I like that color. That's a nice shade of red. I can't hold on to it. And I feel like I'll be trapped in the same environment again. But they'll be like, it's Star Wars. You like sci fi stuff. And I'm like, stop yelling numbers and letters at me. I don't know what these do.
Just let me play the game. There you go. That's fun stuff. When are you going to do the actual game? Because you just said you did the test run thing.
I think in a couple of weeks we are meeting to do our character building.
Okay.
And then we will do it when we can do it. I might also be part of a classic D&D campaign one of my friends is doing.
Cool.
Which would be nice. Like I have said, I'm not great at D&D. It's too many numbers for me. But I've only played it like one game at a time sporadically. And I'm like, well, maybe if I had like a real campaign where I met like once or twice a month or something, I would actually remember how all the numbers go from time to time. That might have been my weakness in the past.
You need like you need your DM to be like previously on Lost, and then
I will make him do that. Yes.
Here's what we all.
He has watched Lost.
There you go.
Oh, yes. I told you I'm going to be a bridesmaid in a friend's wedding coming up soon. I went to her bridal shower last weekend.
How'd that go?
It was nice. I got to meet her family, a couple of the other brides people. I'm slowly settling in there. I got my dress, I got my shoes. It's a good starter kit. I was looking at her registry and they had registered for the D&D beginners kit. I'm like, well, that's what you're getting, obviously. And they're like, you're going to DM this for us, right? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. But if you really need somebody, I could bring in another friend. Just don't make me run the thing. I'm not that smart. Yeah, I got them a D&D beginners kit and a gift card to the local comic and gaming store.
Sweet.
For their wedding as adults.
Sometimes you need to do that stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with going to a comic book store when you're an adult.
Yeah, they like magic. They can go buy magic together. I had friends that got married a couple years ago, and they registered for 2 matching Star Wars Nerf guns. So that's what I got them.
That's how
and
you
my
do
mom's like, but they can't use those in their home. You wouldn't get them like towels? Towels are always nice. I can't believe you did this. And I'm like, Mom, that's what they wanted. They put it on the list. 2 matching.
Let them have fun in their marriage. Let them shoot each other with toys.
I was trying to get me to buy people towels.
They can get their own towels. I think that is almost about it. A little bit of housekeeping. If you guys also listen to one of our other shows, the review show, this coming Sunday is when we will be recording that. By time this episode goes out to the public on podcast feeds, we will have already recorded it. But the next episode that we do of the review show is going to be the last time we live stream it out to the public.
Yes.
It is our kind of weekly book club style podcast, which is a lot of fun, and we absolutely want you guys to join us and follow along at home on that. However, it doesn't really make for the best live streamed content if you haven't read the comic or seen the
difficult
movie
to wander into one of them.
Yeah, so that is going to be patron-only live streams starting in April. So this next Sunday is going to be the last one that is put out there to the public. That being said, I think we also have a second episode of the Patreon exclusive review show stuff coming up soon. I think we are going to be recording that in the next week or so. All of that stuff, if you guys like this show, or if you like the review show and want to support us, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is where you can do all of that. That single $1, that first tier, is where you can get access to the live streams and get all of our episodes early. And the $3 tier is where you can get all the exclusive content. And at the $5 tier, we will give you a shout out live on air, like right now. So thank you very much to Sam and Eric and Christine for supporting us at the $5 level. We appreciate it tons. You guys help keep all the lights on and keeping us going. We appreciate it very much. Yeah. That being said, we just put out an episode of the review show on Umbrella Academy season 1 on Netflix.
That was a fun one.
That was a fun one. It's actually been doing really well, too, which is always encouraging to see. Hey, it's gotten more downloads than usual. That's nice. But that is a lot of fun. That being said, I guess we will be back next week.
We will be.
Melissa, where can the people find you on the magical interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT.
And I am at Yo Kyle Springer on both Twitter and Instagram. You guys can find me on there. If you want updates for this show or any of the other podcasts that we do, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. It says it which way? That way. Down there. Bottom of the screen. That way. Underneath Melissa.
Hi.
You guys can get updates there in case we do all of that stuff. Shazam is coming out soon, so I kind of want to do a episode of the Reactor Core on that. I don't know if you're planning on.
I am. Yes,
that would be fantastic.
I've mentioned this to you multiple times.
You have, but it's one of those things where it was like a week ago. 2 weeks ago. I don't know what your actual plans are from
we legitimately have made plans to go see Shazam, yes.
Sweet. Well, that is what we will do down the road, so be on the lookout for that as well. Follow us on Twitter at The Whatnauts, and we will update you about that. New episodes of this podcast come out every Monday. Again, if you want to get them early, patreon.com/thewhatnauts, and you can support us for a single dollar. Go like, share, subscribe, sell your soul, tell a friend, tell a foe, do everything, all of that stuff. We could use your help. That would be great.
All of it.
Thank you. Give us all of your money. That would be fantastic. That being said, I guess this has been the end of episode 45.
Kyle, it's been 4 that being said, and I'm going to have to cut you off here.
All right, fine. That's it. She fired
Bar's
me.
Bar's closed.
No more of this podcast, except that we will see you next week. Adios, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching that episode of The Captain's Log. Go subscribe to our channel if you want more episodes like this or any of our other podcasts. Go watch this video down here that YouTube wants you to watch, and go listen to our most recent upload. That would help us out a ton. Thank you, guys.